for joining us today and welcome as we are going to mark a very important milestone in the Eastside Rail Corridor. So we're happy to have you all here today, and I want to thank the folks, our partners who are here today who've made so much of this possible. And the tents that are set up, it looks like there's a lot of fun activity, including maybe getting a little bit of checkout on your bike here at REI. It looked like there were some people here with tools. My name's Kirsty True. I'm the director of the Department of Natural Resources and Parks, and I'm very happy to see you all here today. We're, of course, going to be recognizing... Volume. I don't do volume. Tim? It sounds really loud to me. Maybe I should just talk louder.
That's as loud as it's going to go.
Okay, this is loud it's going to go. So we have a couple of speakers here today, and of course we're going to be dedicating Jane Hagway, and Jane is here today also to help us celebrate. I'd also, before we jump into that, like to recognize a few other elected officials who are here today. I think Mayor Amy Whalen is here, or she's on her way. There you are. Deputy Mayor Jay Arnold is here. Councilmember Penny Sweet. And Councilmember John Pascal also here. Thank you so much for coming today at this cross section here between Bellevue and Kirkland. It's really great to be here in the warm weather. Some of you might recall we were here on January 8th, 2 years ago, and it was freezing cold. We were all bundled up and we were removing these spikes. So that is all gone right now, and so it's wonderful to be at a point where we can use this corridor as we had imagined. This 1 mile section is really a key piece in the Eastside Rail Corridor, so it's great to be out here today with all of you and seeing people who are using the trail. And I think what is so significant about it and what we've been thinking about for so long is the connection that this 1 mile takes us, because we're connecting to the Cross Kirkland corridor and we're connecting down into Bellevue to the Spring District. So we have this opportunity to connect those two communities on this trail. But also we get to connect east and west, because then with the 520 trail we can connect over to Bellevue, and also we can connect over to the University of Washington and to Seattle. So it's really, this 1 mile segment is so significant in terms of making the connection. And I also want to give a big shout out to Sound Transit, who completed some of the trails that are going down into Bellevue, and they did that ahead of schedule, and that's going to be really important in terms of connecting those businesses. So let's give a big round to Sound Transit for making that connection. I also want to recognize the significance of the rail removal, because we've been doing this all along this huge corridor. And in a few months, we'll also be doing a ribbon cutting down in the southern part. So we'll be opening up and have started already seeing a lot of people starting to use the connection between Renton up to Newcastle. So that's another 4 miles that we are going to be doing a ribbon cutting on. And so as each piece of this comes along, it gets more and more connected. And of course, a lot of the work that's going to be going on in the Wilburton segment is going to be quite significant. A lot of work there with all of the other construction underway, but we're going to be making our way to making all of those connections happen as well. Extremely important to see all of that connected. And when it's completed, we anticipate that this will be the busiest non-motorized corridor on the east side. It's going to have thousands of people here every day. We're committed to continuing to make sure that this corridor reaches our vision to be in a multi-purpose corridor. And I want to thank Executive Constantine and the King County Council, who have really remained steady in making sure that we implement this project and this vision. So with that, I'd like to turn to our first speaker today, and that's Mayor Chama. We're pleased to be holding this event in Bellevue, because Bellevue is also a very big champion for making sure that we complete this corridor, and have contributed significantly in terms of their time and money to make sure that that happens. Mayor Chama.
Well, you all ready for a really good ride or a nice walk this afternoon? It is perfect to be here. I have to say, I came out and gave a test drive to the trail about 4 weeks ago, and I came up here and I pulled down and I thought, this is great. We're in Bellevue. It now looks as good as Kirkland has looked for a number of years. And I came down and I saw the sign that we're unveiling today and the naming for Jane. And I just got a really, really big smile on my face. It's so appropriate to do that on behalf of Jane Haig. I also want to introduce, and I know we're going to talk about that in a moment, but I do want to introduce a former Bellevue City Council member, Kurt Springman, who is here, who has a slight tie to Jane, son-in-law. So that's great. I have not seen any of my other colleagues here, so I am not certain about that. But I do want to welcome all of the electeds from Kirkland to the right side of the non-railroad tracks.
Mayor John Stokes just came.
Mayor Stokes just arrived. That's great. And John has been a huge proponent of what's going on here. So John, great. Thank you for being here. We did the groundbreaking for REI last week. But what a great day, because it's things like this. The rail corridor turned into a trail that attracted REI to Bellevue and that they wanted to locate here, because their employees want to use all modes of transportation to arrive at work. And we want to make sure that, working with King County and all of our partners, that we're able to deliver on that. This will definitely be among the busiest corridors in the nation, and I'm just really excited to be a part of it. I've ridden the south part. We had a briefing the other night. In 2020, DOT is supposed to be bridging the freeway again, and we'll be connecting that up. And eventually, when light rail gets going, we will have this all connected. We are doing more about bicycling in Bellevue than we have done in the past. A couple of years ago, we had about 2.6 miles added to the bike lanes. Last year, we had 8.5 miles, and we're doing a little better this year. 19 miles of bike lanes this year in Bellevue. And we're going to work very hard to make that very safe. I will say we are all mindful of safety. We had an accident involving a citizen yesterday down in the Newport Shores area, and we really need to be mindful of how our bicycles interact with our system of transportation. And with that, we are doing a program with Microsoft using video analytics to try to highlight areas where there are pinch points between pedestrians, bicyclists, and cars. Very unique way of using technology to make things safer. Finally, I want to say that I hope you'll join us. I think it'll be probably next month when we open up the 108th Avenue bike lane. It's a pilot project, but it'll be the first bike lane connecting from the south end of downtown Bellevue to the north end of downtown Bellevue. And I can tell you, every Bellevue City Council member, at least everyone that's here today, has been a true champion of that project. So this is fabulous. I'm looking forward to going for a little ride a little bit later, and I'm going to turn it back over to you.
Thank you.
Thanks. Thanks, Christy.
It's my pleasure to introduce our next speaker, King County Council Member Claudia Balducci. Claudia has been such a great supporter of the Eastside Rail Corridor in all of its aspects and vision, and she has done that for many years as a Bellevue City Council member, as the mayor of Bellevue, and now as a King County Council member. We're here in her district right now, and she's if you follow her on Facebook, which I would encourage you to do, you will learn that she's been doing a lot of bicycling lately, and I really admire that, and I love the stories, actually, of all the things that she's experienced and the various obstacles and barriers that she's found along the way, which she describes in great detail. So, Claudia, please join us.
Thank you. Yes, I didn't bike here today, although I have my bike here. I'm going to bike home from here today because now I can, so that's pretty exciting. I am so excited to be here with you all to celebrate the opening of the first part of the Eastside Rail Corridor that's been opened by King County in Bellevue. This has been a long time coming, so I'm just super excited to be here. I want to thank our Kirkland friends for the inspiration, because we have been to maybe 4 separate, I want to say, celebrations just on the other side of the road there. there was gravel pouring, there was groundbreaking, there was rail pulling, and there was like there was so many celebrations, and so we're gonna have several more here. But it has been a long time coming. We're gonna be able to bicycle through an urbanized area in these beautiful surroundings, walk, run, and look at the people already using it coming through today who had no idea we were gonna be here. It's already serving the community, and I'm just delighted to have been any part of that. We've been pursuing this dream since at least 2009, and the vision of the Eastside Rail Corridor has been shaped by many people. I want to call out some of the folks that have been huge leaders in this. Larry Phillips, former King County Council member who was down just yesterday at the council, and he was a strong advocate for a multi-use trail, having the bike, peds, and transit someday in this trail. Ron Sims, former King County executive, who was a really stalwart advocate for buying this trail, finding a way to keep it this train line in public use when it was going to be potentially broken up. And of course, none of this happens without a lot of vision and coordination between all the partners. It passes through a lot of jurisdictions, and that doesn't happen without a leader. And the leader for this part was Councilmember Jane Haig. And so it's very fitting, and I'm sorry that Councilmember Dunn couldn't be here today, but it was his idea to do this naming, and the council approved it unanimously a few years ago, and we're finally making good on that promise that the council made to honor the years of work that Councilmember Haig put into making this possible today. As we stand here today, and I'm going to repeat a little bit what Mayor Chama and I said, because I was the mayor before he was the mayor, but he talked before me, so I'm sorry. So he stole my talking points, and I'm going to repeat them. But look at what's happening because of not just light rail, but because of this amenity right here today. We have the development of the Bell Red Corridor, the Global Innovation Exchange, REI relocating. We have the development of Google up the road here, and places like Chainline Brewery, all these really fascinating new developments that are happening because of the trail. I don't know who coined the phrase, but I'm going to steal it. Trail-oriented development is a real thing, and it's really happening, and it's making our community an amazing place to be. So all of us here on the East Side, and many from around the entire region, are going to enjoy the benefits of this project for many years to come. And I want to thank and applaud everyone who has worked so hard to bring us here today. So congratulations to you all. Thank you all. And I'm really looking forward to cut that ribbon and bike down the trail.
Soon, very soon. Everybody's taller than me. So I'm very happy to turn to our dedication, and I'm hoping that Jane would come up here and stand alongside me if you would, because we're dedicating this section known as Jane Haig Way. Jane served on the King County Council representing District 6 for 22 years. Time goes by fast, doesn't it? From 1994 to 2015. And again, as time goes by quickly, sometimes we forget, but we really started thinking about this corridor and acquiring it a long time ago in the early 2000s when Jane was on the council, and she was one of the early people who realized the importance of protecting the Eastside Rail Corridor and the significance of this enormous right-of-way. The south-north right-of-way was, how else would you ever get something like that? So she played a critical role with the King County Council and with her peers to make sure that we acquired critical portions of the Eastside Rail Corridor. And as part of that champion for the multi-use portion of it, she, I think, coined the name, remember, the Corridor of the Ages. Yes. Jane served as a co-chair with me on the first formation of the Regional Advisory Council, and we worked very hard over many years to come up with the document and the vision for creating what we're working on today. In 2015, the County Council recognized Jane's decades of leadership and service, as you heard from Councilmember Balducci, for advocacy for parks and trails. It was not just the Eastside Rail Corridor, which is immensely important, but her work on parks and trails countywide was hugely significant. And they passed a motion, 14481, that designated mileposts 13.5 through 14.65 on the Eastside Rail Corridor's Jane Haig Way. So we're very happy that you can join us today for this dedication.
This is the corridor of the ages, and what we're seeing today is the beginning of a legacy, not just for us, but for our children and our grandchildren and all the future generations that will see this as a major piece of transportation. And I just wanted to say, for me, this is all about connections. And it's not just connections to other trails, but it's connections to community, it's connections to each other, and it's connections to nature. And what can be wrong with that? Thank you very much to the Parks Department and all of you who have made this happen, this opening today. There's more work to be done, but in the words of the Parks Department, welcome to our big backyard. Thanks.